If you want some handy hints and tips about making your fire steel more effective, your Spork easier to use, a better tarp setup, and an update on the Marines knot, stay tuned. If your ferro rod is not working, it's either bad technique or maybe your scraper is blunt. So take the file and square off the end and make part of it raggy. This ought to improve the fire making capabilities. If the edge is sharp enough, you should be able to pare parts of your nail off just by rubbing it. If you've done the job properly, you should get a lot of sparks very quickly. This is working a lot better than it used to. Job done. Spork phone combinations have been around for years. They're light, easy to fold up and pack and carry, but they have one problem. When they're opened out and put together to be used, they tend to be very, very slack. The answer is to make a stiffener that will keep the whole thing steady while you're using it. To make the clip, you need some thin aluminium, a pair of tin snips or strong scissors, a pair of pliers. This task can be completed with very, very simple tools. You need to roughly measure the dimensions on a piece of paper, add the other side and the thickness of the metal, and draw a plan. Having cut out the metal, smooth any sharp edges. Here I'm using a stone rather than a file, and then bend the metal into a U shape around the spork so it fits and holds it securely when it is open and closed. On some sporks this method doesn't work, so you have to make a small clip to keep it open and closed. You take a sliver of metal, mark it, bend it over and force it down. Then, measuring it against the spork, you bend it in a U shape once again. Then you can jam it open and closed. Tarp shelters are great. They're lightweight and they're versatile. However, there is one major mistake that needs to be avoided. If you're going to peg them out using pegs, dead easy. If you're going to use a log or rock or stones to hold down the tarp, you need to do it on the inside of the tarp so the water runs off when it rains, not on the outside of the tarp where it'll collect, soak through and wet you and your gear. The Marines knot is a great aid to setting up a bivvy or shelter sheet if you don't want to use a bungee. However, there is one problem. If the knots are too small, they don't hold very well. So instead of using a thumb knot, use a figure of 8 knot. This gives a bigger knot, it makes it easier to use and hold, but it's just as easy to release. It's a good idea to attach your Marines knot to your poncho or shelter sheet before you go out. However, if you can't do this easily, you can store them ready for use in a plastic cash bag. So big thank you to everyone who's watched, commented and subscribed. Get out there, get training. You know it makes sense, it will serve you well.